Together, it's like it's on.
In case some of you wonder where the best is, they're up here on this plaque on the wall.
You sure you're ready for this?
I'll do my best.
Your best? Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and the prom queen.
Here we go, boys and girls. We are live. It's the best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV. Jason Davis and Jared Dubois. It is USA Canada this time around. This is becoming old hat, Jared. Third live show that we're doing, pregame, halftime, postgame. Every single one of them, we've had an excellent guest. We had Alexi Lawless. We had Phil Shane.
Nothing's different today.
This time, it is the man, Taylor Twellman's on the line with us right now. How are you, Taylor?
I'm good, but you just put me in some elite category. I don't know if this will definitely be the third highest rated show then.
Come on, you did.
That's because of Canada, not you.
Yeah. Okay. Taylor is joining us, and he is getting ready to watch USA Canada, as you would expect. But the man's made an ultimate sacrifice, Jared. We heard just before we came on the air. Taylor gave up his courtside Boston Celtics playoff tickets to watch this game. That's some pretty heavy stuff, Taylor.
Yeah, it is, but I could also understand the argument. You know what? He should. So I get it. Whatever.
Are you obligated? I mean, okay, you're a professional soccer.
Not contractually obligated.
He can watch this game at any time before he does. I know he's doing the Tampa qualifier against Antigua and Barbuda. He could watch this game at any time between now and then and be prepared. He could do that. But he's making a sacrifice, and we appreciate. He's making a sacrifice just to watch the game, and he's making a sacrifice to join us tonight. All right, Taylor, we've got a lineup. We've got a lineup. There's a little confusion, just like there always is, over what this formation is going to be. Have you had a chance to look at the lineup, and what do you make of it? Is it a 4-4-2? Is it a 4-5-1? Is it 4-2-3-1 is the same kind of thing? What is this?
Yeah, to answer your question, we were in DC before the Brazil game, morning of the game, met with Jurgen Klinsmann, Alexi Lawless, Ian Dark, Bob Lee, myself, Casey Keller, and we're sitting there, and Alexi and I have been wondering for a solid, I'd say 4 or 5 months about, everyone's healthy, what's your lineup? And no hesitation, he said it's 4-4-2. Now, saying that, I think when you have a Dempsey, Donovan, and Torres on the field at the same time, I don't think it really matters. Right. I really don't, but I think at the end of the day, you're going to see Dempsey up front with Gomez more often than you won't. Torres on the left, Landon on the right. But again, at times, because of those three players and their versatility, it can be a 4-2-3-1. There's going to be a lot going on there, but I really see Dempsey pushing up to play next to Gomez as much as possible.
Taylor, a lot of people are really stoked to see Torres, Dempsey, and Donovan all on the field at the same time. It's a really positive kind of lineup. It's a very offensive-minded lineup. Do you think this is a lineup that they can play against any of the teams in CONCACAF qualifying, or is this more because it's Canada? Canada's not necessarily the toughest team out there, so they can afford to go with 3 offensive-minded midfielders there?
Well, I think you just answered your own question. I think it's a CONCACAF lineup. There's no doubt about it. But I've had this debate for a solid 10 days to 2 weeks. I mean, when you look at Torres, and let's say you're playing Germany in Dortmund, is Torres in your lineup? Mm-hmm. Is he that guy that can start against a team where you're going to defend most of the time? And we saw it against Brazil. It doesn't play into Torres' strengths. Now, I'll argue with you that Torres off the bench for the last 20 minutes of a game where the other team's tired, where he's going to have more space on the ball, can create, that may be where he's most efficient. But there are opponents in CONCACAF where you can start Torres at the beginning of the game, and he's going to be the playmaker that he should be.
Right, just like against Scotland. I mean, he was very, very good in that game, and you expect that most of the competition is not going to rise above that Scotland level, except in a couple of situations. So looking at this game, this is the third game in this set of friendly/qualifiers. Klinsmann's got his guys in camp for. You thump Scotland by a big margin. You lose to Brazil. Maybe it's a little more lopsided than it should have been. And now you've got Canada. What is a good result in this situation? Do they need to make a statement against Canada?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're naive or stupid to think. I mean, it's 3 points. I mean, we're a better team. U.S. is a better team than Canada. There's no questions asked. Now, in Toronto, where there's some history behind this game, of course, it's going to be a battle. It's not easy, but if we don't think and we don't act as if we're better than the U.S. and prove it, then I think we've got issues. I expect nothing other than 3 points tonight.
Taylor, we can't have one of the best strikers that America ever created on this show without asking you some striker questions here. But once again, we're not seeing Jozy in this lineup. First part of the question is, how nervous are you that the U.S. has yet to put out their starting 11 going into the first game of World Cup qualifying? And secondly, about Jozy himself as a player, how impressed are you with the progress he's made in just one calendar year?
I think, well, first of all, Jozy's not playing because he's been done, if I'm not mistaken, since May 6th. So kind of the way Clint has eased himself into being a starter this trip, I think Jozy's getting back. I think Hercules under everything, he earned the start again. He played very well. Jozy's done well. And the one thing I liked what I saw from Jozy was the Italy game. I thought as the game progressed, he played with his back to goal more confidently than we've ever seen him. The goal that Dempsey scored was a lot of Jozy hard work. The one thing I want people to keep in mind, he scored a lot of goals. And again, goal's a goal, and anywhere you score a lot of goals. However, he scored in Holland, and it's for a good team. And keep in mind, Michael Bradley scored how many goals in Holland?
Right.
So I want to see Jozy, and I've told Jozy to his face, I want to see him in the EPL or La Liga scoring goals. All the physical tools, as long as he puts in the effort, puts in the hard work. And I think we've overreacted a bit with Jozy in the sense that we think, we're he's still young. I mean, think about his age and all the experience he's gotten. So I think this year is going to do wonders for confidence, because as a striker, no matter what league you're in, when you're scoring goals and seeing the ball hit the back of the net consistently, that does wonders for your confidence. So I think this year, coming up, qualifying, and then his next season in Holland, I think it's going to do wonders for him. I really do.
Lots of focus, Taylor, because of Landon Donovan and his situation, being injured, being sick, whatever the case may be. And then Clint Dempsey, kind of coming off an injury at the end of the year, finally getting healthy enough to play against Brazil, but not start. You got Dempsey and Donovan starting together. Is this as big of a deal as we've built it up to be? Or is it just kind of,
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it's not. It's so funny, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but listen, I'm now part of the media, right? So I kind of get why we need to build it up and why we want to see it, and a big reason for that is Clint Dempsey just had his best year of his career. So now we're like, okay, now there's that, I hate to use Skip Bayless, but now there's the Batman and Robin, so to speak, and all that. But listen, are we seriously, Clint and Landon will be fine. They're going to be on the field in 2014 World Cup and all the qualifiers, and they're going to be very dangerous. But I am more looking at the depth at center back and up front, because those are two bigger issues than whether or not Clint and Landon are on the field at the same time.
Yeah, you just brought up something I wanted to talk about, Taylor, and that's the rotating position at that center back spot with Bocanegra. Do you think coming into this 5-game stretch right here that Klinsmann was always thinking about giving each of these guys a shot? Or has each of these guys been so underwhelming so far that you're seeing Goodson in the third game just because he's the only guy you haven't seen yet?
Yeah, Goodson also came into the camp late. I think if Goodson was into the camp a little bit earlier, I think you would have saw him against Brazil. Guys, Gooch struggled. He struggled big time against Brazil, and I think it showed the lack of depth we have. Now, is Jeff Cameron that guy? Sooner or later, we got to put him in, and we got to see what he has. We do know what Clarence Goodson has. We don't know what Jeff Cameron is going to be yet, and I think sooner or later, Klinsman's going to have to make that decision on who's going to play there. But watching the struggles with, Carlos and Gooch in the back against Brazil, it's hard not to realize that that's an issue. And you guys tell me, when was the last time that we had to worry at center back for the U.S. team? It's been a long time, and I think it's a concern, and I don't think we're giving much credit into it because a lot has been made about Landon and Clint are finally playing together. Listen, we got to figure out who our back four is going to be.
You're right that we haven't had to really think about it as a group. The defensive line has kind of been an issue, especially against better quality opponents. Obviously, Brazil is a very good opponent, and it looked like Guccianyewu was not capable of handling that task. Is he done? And then you've got Goodson tonight. Is Cameron the guy? Tim Ream didn't get a call up, but seems to be improving. Is he going to get there fast enough? Is Omar Gonzalez going to get healthy? And is he the right type of player? A lot of questions. Definitely a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. I will tell you one thing. We've got a question answered, and that's who's going to be our left back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me feel so much more at ease.
Jurgen flat out said it in the meet. I mean, guys, remember against Slovenia, he played left midfield in the diamond. He was playing attacking midfield in Germany. Jurgen Klinsmann, the morning of Brazil, said hands down 4 or 5 coaches in the Bundesliga told him he's the best left back in the Bundesliga, hands down. And so while we've always, how often have you guys done podcasts, shows, tweets, everything, who's going to play left back? We don't have a left back. Well, the last 4 or 5 games have proven to us we don't need to worry about that spot.
That's amazing. How do we deal with that as a soccer culture? Don't have to talk about left back? What are we going to do?
That was our staple, wasn't it? It's like, we lost. Well, that's because we don't have a left back.
Is the easiest thing to talk about. Taylor, talk about being a striker. What's the difference in playing with like one single striker up top, like the U.S. has done pretty consistently over the last year, versus that second pairing striker? Is Josie strong enough up top to consistently play there by himself, or do you like the U.S. playing with a double striker formation up front?
So you don't follow me on Twitter or listen to any of my broadcasts, do you?
Taylor, we got to ask you on the air and have you explain it, because our listeners might need a refresher, or they don't follow you, or they don't watch on the air.
I will tell you right now, I hate the one forward system. And a big reason for that, and I'm not going to hide, I hated being that one forward because 98% of that game is you're up front by yourself, running with your head cut off with no service. Mm-hmm. And the difference is, and everyone says, well, everyone plays a 4-3-3. Okay, who plays a 4-3-3 where it works? Chelsea, okay, right. Look at Drogba as your center forward. Why is it, and I know this sounds repetitive if you do follow me on Twitter, but every single time the U.S. goes down a goal, why do they go to 2 forwards? And I know everyone says, okay, let's push number forward. Well, I'm going to just throw something out there. Instead of us being down, why not start a game that way? We saw it against Argentina last year, where Timothy Chandler came in. I know I'm bringing up a bad name, but he comes in out wide. We go to 2 forwards. Juan Agudelo scores. Brazil last week. Right. They bring on Dempsey, pushes up front. Then Boyd pushes up front. Dempsey's in the midfield. They hit the crossbar 2 or 3 times. I just see the U.S. from an outsider point of view. When we go to 2 forwards, there's some kind of quiet confidence that comes into play. And even talking to guys like Landon and Dempsey, they just like it because there's an innate understanding of what the runs are going to be. I'm not saying the 4-3-3 doesn't work, but when I look at the U.S. team and I see how Michael Bradley's playing so well, I think we got to have 2 forwards out there. I just do.
And isn't Herculez Gomez a great complement forward to what Josie brings to the game?
Yeah, of course. But look at Slovenia. Edson Butto and Josie played phenomenal together with Clint Dempsey underneath. I just think we have enough forwards that will complement each other as 2 forwards than having that one guy central playing up front by himself.
Taylor, we're going to let you go. You got anything you want to plug before we do?
Oh, wow. What, do we have an extra 10 minutes? Because I'm going to plug about things, people.
Plug away. Plug away.
Great. I appreciate you guys having me. I love this stuff.
So nothing. You don't want to plug anything. ThinkTaylor.org. Big Head, Redhead.
Yeah, you could do anything.
All
Big Head, Redhead, ThinkTaylor.org, at Taylor Twelman.
Yes, at Taylor Twelman. At Taylor Twelman is a must. We appreciate the time, Taylor. Enjoy the game. Sorry about your Celtics tickets.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate it.
All right, bye. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll regroup. We'll talk USA, Canada, and get set. Best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV.
I don't think I
Jason Davis, Jared Dubois back on the Best Soccer Show live ahead of USA Canada, live from BMO Field. I said live twice. That's weird.
And we're twice as live as anyone else.
I don't know if it's going to be a sellout. I think they struggled a bit to sell tickets.
I think it was 12,000 pregame, and they're hoping for walk up to 15. Is that what it was?
That's not that good, Toronto. What's going on?
Yeah, they must think TFC's playing.
Can we really bag on Canada for not selling out this game when we have so many issues with other teams' fans filling up stadiums for us? I mean,
I don't think so. This is your chance to represent Canada. I mean, USA, Canada, no one in USA gives you any credit. I'm going to tell you right now for anything other than syrup and hockey. No one gives you any credit. This is your chance to shove it back down our throats.
Yeah, syrup, hockey, and comedy. That's what we get.
Yeah, comedians. Yeah.
That's about it. We are taking phone calls. 201-430-2378 is the phone number. We're on Skype, Best Soccer Show. You can tweet us if you want, if you're too shy to get your voice on the air. And because I'm remembering now, I want to institute a rule, Jared. You tell me if this is too harsh, and maybe we'll
go ahead.
Is it wrong if I say that people can only call once per segment?
No. I think that's right, because I know for a fact that there's been times you haven't answered a line because someone else is on for the second or third time, and that's not fair to the person that didn't get on.
Right. So I'm going to ask you guys. This is honor system here because I can't tell who's calling. You cannot call more than once in a segment. Or
yes, you can call pregame, you can call halftime, you can call postgame, and
sure,
that's fine.
That's plenty. That's plenty. On a regular live show, it'll be once per show. But tonight for the live for the in-game show. Well, I don't know what we're calling that technically. Is it an in-game show? Is it a
live show? I don't know.
Game spectacular or something like that. Right? All right.
Something like those lines.
All right. The first phone call of the evening is from area code 904. Who's this?
Hey, this is Vera.
Hi, Vera.
Ooh, it's a lady.
Okay. What's on your mind, Vera?
So I was wondering, who do you think is going to play the defensive midfielder, the six? Do you think it's going to be Bradley or Jones?
Yeah, we were talking about.
I'd rather see Jones.
We were talking about ahead of the broadcast.
Read our minds, Vera.
Who was going to be taking what role? Jared seems to think they're going to be playing fairly flat, which would indicate they're really kind of sharing the same space or dividing up the field in halves, I guess. I tend to think that it's going to be Jones ahead of Bradley. That's the way I think it's going to work out, but I'm with you. I would rather see Jones play deeper and Bradley play more advanced. Jared?
My take on it is that if you're going to play the players like Torres, Dempsey, and Donovan, and as those three, you give them complete artistic license to go forward and do what they do, and you use Bradley and you use Jermaine Jones as their cushion. I think you're playing them a little bit more flat. I don't think they'll have to cover all the way to the sideline to sideline. No. I think your fullbacks will do that, and the midfielders ahead of them will help. But I do think there's about a 40-yard stretch right there in the middle of the field. They'll divide equally, and it allows the guys in front of them to really go out there and try to put something really kind of beautiful together up front.
I know, and we against Scotland, one of the things we came out of that game thinking was, or when that game started, we thought, okay, how can Adu, Bradley, and Jones, how can they all play in the midfield together, and how's that going to work? Now, it worked spectacularly. Will it work that same way? And that's only two players versus three. You don't expect Torres to be that close to them, but can it work in this situation? Can it work again on a kind of a different level? Will they be able to work in partnership rather than running into each other all night?
Vera, what's your take?
I don't think that.
We lost Vera right in the middle of the phone call. Dropped it out. Oh well, she doesn't think something, Jared. I don't know what she doesn't think.
She doesn't think my opinion's at all valid.
No, I think what we're establishing here is that we all tend to think of Michael Bradley. Not all of us. I'm sure there are some dissenters out there, but we all tend to think of Michael Bradley as the better offensive player, right?
Yes.
Even though Jermaine Jones got a goal against Scotland, even though he can pop up in a good spot.
So did Bradley.
Bradley gets a goal. Well, that's a little bit different kind of goal. Jermaine Jones is heading the ball out from 5 yards. Michael Bradley's hitting a rocket from 25 or whatever that was.
Listen, I think that I loved to see Bradley go forward and contribute to the offense because I think he is absolutely fantastic at doing it. But what I'm saying is that then you're asking to one of those other three players, either Dempsey, Donovan, or Torres, to take on a lot more defensive responsibility. And I think that what you lose in defense with those three players to Bradley is more than what you gain in Bradley going forward for any of those three players.
Okay, no, I'm again, it depends on the competition, right? Do you honestly think it's going to be a problem against Canada? I mean,
There's one player on Canada I worry about, and that's Dero. And if they play him in the midfield, then I'm happy that Jones and Bradley will be there to try to stop him.
Right, and if they play Di Rosario in the midfield, you've got two guys there to help neutralize him, and he's their major threat. I mean, you're not afraid of De Guzman as an offensive threat. You're really not afraid. I know they've got what's their striker's name? Are they playing one striker? I don't even look at their station. Olivier O'Shan plays in did play in the second Bundesliga. Now moving up to Bundesliga with I can't say their name. I can't even. I'm not gonna.
Don't even try, dude. Don't even try. Don't be that guy.
I mean, that's the thing. We tend to focus on the U.S. only and not consider the competition. Do we think Klinsmann is responding to Canada? I mean, not. Is he trying to play a certain way because it's Canada and because of an expectation of who they're going to play, or is he just saying, this is my lineup, go do the job?
I think there's a little bit of that, but I guess I'm just still kind of bummed that Altidor's not in this lineup. He's on the bench. I'm sure we'll see him at some point. I mean, Klinsmann's just approaching this in a different way than I think I would like to see it done. I would like to see our number one choice 11, which are all there tonight and are all active and in uniform. I'd like to see him on the field for a good portion of the time. It would make me feel a lot more comfortable going into qualifying. That being said, I realize the first game is against Antigua and Barbuda. It's probably not going to make a big difference. Right. We were talking with Taylor Twellman before we went on air, and he has great expectations for this team against our first round opponent. But I still would. It would make me feel better to see how Altidore combines with all those players.
Look, you want to see your best 11 play before the games mean something, but I almost think you have to look at that Antigua and Barbuda game as another warm up. I mean, we don't ever want to take anything for granted, and CONCACAF can get screwy.
No, I'm okay with it.
But come on. We, like you said, we talked to Taylor before we came on the air, and he's going to be calling that game. And I imagine he's going to be kind of mentally. He'll do the game, he'll do it well, but it's going to be a bloodbath. And it has to be. If it's not a bloodbath, then we have some serious problems.
It's funny. I had someone ask me on Twitter this week, and I'm going to put it to you now, Jason. Do you think Dwayne De Rosario could he threaten for any of the starting 11 spots on this U.S. national team?
Looking at the way that this is lined up tonight, no, I don't think he fits in there any particular way. Where are you going to jam him in?
Well, I mean, obviously Torres is probably the odd man out in that kind of scenario. He's probably the one closest to not having a starting spot in this lineup. But Dero's not going to play as much wide as Torres is probably going to be asked to tonight. But I just think that Dero is just I talk about Dero in the same way I kind of talk about Johnson Spector, but in a much better way. In that Dero can play so many different roles for a team. He can play striker. He can play the off striker. He can play their box-to-box midfielder. He can play your attacking midfielder. He provides so many different options that I kind of hesitate for a second. I think Dero's close to breaking the U.S. lineup. I don't necessarily know that he would be a lock, though, at any position.
Well, it's a matter of the lineup. It's a matter of what you're asking each guy to do. And if it's not like Jose Torres and Dero are the same player and can be 1-for-1 swapped, right?
Yeah.
So you
have to kind of change your format if you're going to put Dero in it, don't you?
Change the way certain guys. You're going to change the responsibilities guys have if you're making that change. I think it's very, like you said, I think it's very close. And I'm not denigrating. I think De Rosario is fantastic. I love him as a player. I just think looking at the way the U.S. is running out now, that it would be difficult to squeeze him in because what you're losing in one area of the field. You're gaining attack. That's what he's best at. But are you okay with that trade-off? Are you okay? Is De Rosario as good in possession as Jose Torres? No, I don't think so. Is he going to help you?
What Dero likes to do is the same thing Dempsey likes to do. He likes to get the ball, turn upfield with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he is the closest person he is to Canada in terms of what he provides to the U.S. is Dempsey. They're very kind of similar players in what they want to do on the field. I don't think Dero's as good in the air as Dempsey or anything like that, but they both want to get the ball and turn, and that's going to be the big job for Bradley and Jones, or both one. We're not sure just yet. Whoever it is, though, someone's got to keep Dero with his back to goal. If you can keep Dero's back to goal most of the night, you have a great chance of having success against Canada.
So you've got a couple of different fronts that this battle is going to take, happen on. We didn't ask Taylor for a prediction. I don't know. I mean, I
think like 2-0 to the U.S. would be a comfortable win for me. I think
be comfortable with a 2. I think I would be fine with 2-0. I might have a little higher expectation.
More than anything, I want to see a clean sheet from the U.S. tonight, and I want to see what role Goodson can play in providing that clean sheet. Because I feel like a lot of the other answers on this team right now a lot of the other questions on this team have been answered. That's the big question mark, and Taylor talked about it a bit in the first segment. I want to see, and Taylor's also right. Goodson's had more chances than anyone else to be that partner with Bocanegra, and no one's actually calling him to be written in pen next to Bocanegra. So if he's been given the most opportunities and he still isn't the clear-cut favorite, what's wrong with the Goodson-Bocanegra pairing that we're not getting?
Well, I mean, I think it's always been clear that when Oguchi Onyewu was at his best, Clarence Goodson is not as good as Gooch, right? That's just a given. Now I would give that. It looks like, now again, it's Brazil, and he lost a mark and he didn't step up when he needed to, and he looks.
It doesn't matter if it's Brazil or not. If you're holding someone on side or not. That's his job as a center back, is to decide where that line is supposed to be, and he failed.
I agree, and I think that Oguchi Onyewu has lost just enough foot speed and his mental speed there. With maybe he wants his body to do things it just can't do anymore. I mean, that doesn't mean he's a bad player, and he's obviously played well enough in Portugal to stay on the radar. He's played well enough in Portugal to continue to play for one of their biggest clubs, but he doesn't look like he's there for the international game anymore. If I don't think that Clarence Goodson is anybody's like, oh my gosh, we're good, we're moving forward, and Clarence Goodson is our guy. That's why Jeff Cameron gets a look, and that's why Tim Ream will probably get a look eventually at some point. That's why. Go ahead.
What do you make of the fact that Boyd isn't in this lineup tonight? Not even dressed for this lineup. Chris Wondolowski dresses instead. Is this anything to do with the fact that Boyd signed for a team in midseason? Maybe he had a lot of distractions coming into the week, or is this just going to be Wando's going to finally get his chance to get a few minutes and try to impress?
Wait, I missed that. Terrence Boyd signed? Who did he sign with?
Well, didn't he sign with Rapid Vienna?
I saw that it looked like it was going to happen. I don't think anything.
Well, I apologize then. Maybe I misread that.
Yeah, I mean, it's likely he'll go there, but I don't think that's actually happened yet. He may be distracted. I don't know. How about the fact that he's 21, that he is still, he's still a reserve player until he plays his first senior level game in any league, in any top league, anywhere. How about the fact that he's just, you've got other guys. I mean, I don't think it says anything about Terrence Boyd necessarily. You've got Josie Altidore finally in the team, but he's not starting, but he's available. So why would you? I'm just saying, you. I guess you could start Boyd, and then.
I think maybe it's just like a little shout out to Wando, but I'd be surprised if he got significant minutes in this game.
I don't know that. I mean, he would make sense as a late game sub, but if you're bringing on Altidore, he's got 6, right? He can use them all. He can get one his game. He can go to a clear 4-4-2. He can pull off Dempsey at one point for somebody if he wants to. I mean, depending on how well Dempsey plays it. He got 20 minutes against Brazil. I don't think he's going to go 90 tonight. I don't expect Clint Dempsey to play.
No, I don't think so either. If he only played about 20 or so against the last game.
That's really what it is. I mean, is Chris Wondolowski going to somehow play his way into, like you were talking about, writing in pen? Is he going to somehow play his way into a position where he's written in pen just on the roster? No. I don't think so, but
I think so.
A possibility. I mean,
I think it's Boyd is Klinsmann's boy. Like, I say that right? That's a hard thing to say. But I think without a doubt that this is his pet project. This is the guy that he's trying to groom to be the next, maybe Josie Altidore, maybe a partner for Josie Altidore. I'm not sure how he sees him, but without a doubt, he'll definitely be the Josie Altidore when Josie can't be there, as he's been over the last 2 games. But I do think that Boyd's his pet project, and I don't see anyone necessarily coming into that depth roster for striker right now. Boyd's probably the number 3 choice as striker right now. Isn't it Altidore, Gomez, Boyd? That's the way I see it right now.
Altidore, Gomez. That sounds about right, but I don't know that that's written in pen either. I mean, there are some other permutations that could, maybe Juan Agudelo starts going on a spree and somehow gets back into the team, and then pushes somebody else, pushes maybe Herculez Gomez out. I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying that you're looking at 2 different players in 2 different portions of their career there. Juan Agudelo's all potential. If he starts scoring, he starts realizing it. Maybe he's the guy you'd rather focus on than a player like Herculez Gomez, who, while scoring a ton of goals, is in the what?
I would be so unbelievably happy if Juan Godello could get formed back and get back into this picture with this team, because we don't have any player in the striker position that can do what Juan Godello does. We don't have anyone that will be someone that's going to beat someone on the dribble. I don't think we have a striker that will necessarily consistently beat someone on the dribble and get to the end line. Maybe that's not what people want from a striker, is someone that gets to the end line. But I just think that Juan Godello brings something different than everyone else at these positions right now.
Breaking news, Fabian Johnson out of the lineup and Edgar Castillo into the lineup per U.S.
Oh, is there some kind of injury right there? Did they say or anything?
It's just U.S. Soccer tweeting it out. I have no idea if that's due to injury or just Klinsmann making a decision that, why would you send out the lineup and then change it like that? That
is really, really interesting right there. Yeah, I'm looking right now. Iva's just tweeted out, losing Fabian Johnson in pregame warmups is such a disappointment. So something in warmups maybe pulled a muscle. Obviously, like you said, it's the last game before World Cup qualifying. You don't risk anything at this point, especially when we were just singing the praises of having consistency at that spot with Taylor Twellman when he was in the pregame, is that you don't want to at all risk not having this guy ready for any meaningful game. Or he's pulling a Timothy Chandler and he's just trying to get out of getting capped, even though he can't go any other team.
He can't get capped tonight, and he's already filed his one-time switch. So let's put that to bed. Fabian Johnson is not playing for anyone else. But
I know, I'm just playing around.
But the one thing I was going to say is, it's nice to have, Fabian Johnson is our left back. Woohoo, we got a left back. We don't have to really stress about a first 11 left back. It's not like we got depth there. It's not like we're going, oh, wow. Now we're good.
How much did the bookies just change the how much the U.S. is favored by when Castillo comes in for Johnson?
I was going to ask you, did the confidence level of USA fans just drop about 3 levels upon hearing that Fabian Johnson is not starting this game? Did everybody?
My confidence just dropped a couple of notches. I'm not sure if everyone else's did. He's failed to show me anything at this level. Now, here's his chance. Everyone I know that watches Mexican soccer has been hyping this kid up, saying he's much better than what we've seen at the national team level. He's showing it down in Mexico every week. Here's your shot, kid. Here's 90 minutes. Here's a start for you. Show us why you belong in the conversation still, because I still haven't seen it, even in the small bursts he's had since he's been back with the national team in this last 2 games.
Well, he may not have to do a lot of one-on-one defending. It's a question of whether or not he can help in the attack and give the United States some width if they're going to play this, without wingers in a sense, because Dempsey and Donovan. Well, we think Torres is going to play wide or wherever. I don't think he's going to play wide on the touchline wide, but he's going to be out there somewhere. It's going to be incumbent upon Edgar Castillo to be part of an organized defense. I don't care what he adds to the attack. I think we have more than enough goal scorers in this lineup, guys who can create in this lineup, that we don't need him to go bombing forward, getting out of position, and allowing Canada to do something, scoring a goal on a counter or something ridiculous like that. I just want him to be safe. Be safe, Edgar.
Well, honestly, the best thing the U.S. can do in this game is, people say it's a cliche, it's been said over, let your offense be your best defense. In this type of game, with the players that the U.S. has in their starting lineup, Torres, Dempsey, Donovan, Bradley, they should be able to hold the ball consistently and they should have at least about 60% possession in this game. Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, and actually I was going to get to that. If we're talking about expectations, scoreline is one thing. Both of us said 2-0. We'd be fine with that. I'd like to see a little bit more. In fact, I expect a little bit more. If I have 2 major expectations for this game, or no, 3, because we'll add your clean sheet in there. 3 major expectations for this game. 1, a strong showing on the score, just a flat out beating of Canada, whether it's 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, something like that. 2, possession, controlling the game. Okay, and the high pressure and getting the ball back is important, and that's what Klinsmann's preaching. But I also want to see them control the game, and like you said, 60% possession is a reasonable goal for this team. And 3, the clean sheet. I want to see them. I said dominate 4-1 is fine, but I also would love to see a clean sheet just for the confidence of the defense and for Clarence Goodson being that guy. And we can at least say, okay, we've got this under our belt. We don't have a Gucci Onyewu at 100%. We don't have Jeff Cameron ready yet. We don't have a center back of the future now. We need Clarence Goodson to be at least competent and strong in that position next to Carlos Bocanegra.
Well, one of the outside midfielders tonight, I'm not sure which side he's going to play on. It's going to be Will Johnson, a player that most U.S. fans are familiar with his time at Real Salt Lake. Now, my question is, if Will Johnson gets played on the right and Castillo has to match up with Will Johnson all night long, and if he's able to keep Will Johnson out of this game, is that enough of a performance because people are familiar with Will Johnson and the type of player he is? Is that enough to make you feel confident in Edgar Castillo if he can keep Will Johnson out of this game?
No, not necessarily, because what do you expect Will Johnson to do?
I mean, he's a good player. He's a serviceable player. He's a player I think that would probably be in the hunt for a U.S. national team spot, and I mean a starting spot.
No. But what do you expect him to do on the field? Like, what do you actually expect him to accomplish? He's tough in the tackle, right? He's a decent passer.
I think he'll cut inside.
Can hold the ball a little bit. He's good. He's got a good long range shot, but I don't expect him to he shouldn't be beating Edgar Castillo on the dribble. He shouldn't be a major attacking threat except for outside the box. So all Edgar Castillo really needs to worry about with Will Johnson is closing him down, right? And winning the ball when Johnson's in his.
I'll tell you what could be a good thing for Edgar Castillo: the fact that he didn't know he was going to start till right beforehand. That could be a good thing if you don't have to think about it. And he's got expectations on him. He has to know the expectations that are on him, and the poor expectations and the poor way that he has been projected or talked about on this team. Okay, it might be good just to be able to have to step up instantly to the game.
You want Edgar Castillo to not only you want him to know that he's being derided in the American soccer press. And,
you don't Google your own name. You are not anyone that anyone really knows, and neither am I. And I Google my own name all the time. You don't think a professional player's Googling his own name?
I'm not saying that Edgar doesn't. That's let me get back to that for a second, because I know I got to address what you just said. Yes, on occasion I will Google my own name, but do you know why I don't more often? It's because
your name's common.
There's a certain rich drug addict guy out there with my name. That's the reason. Jason Gummy Bear, or whatever his name is.
Yes.
David. Yeah, that's why I don't Google my own name.
That's your new nickname.
No, it's not, and it will never be. But what I'm saying is, okay, so you want Edgar Castillo to turn his anger, his bitterness over the way people talk about him as a U.S. men's national team player into a positive, right? And show
yes.
that he's good enough. And you want him to be able. You think that it's possible, not knowing he was starting until 20 minutes before kickoff, 15 minutes before kickoff, can work in his advantage. That he.
Sure, I don't see why you can't.
Yeah, no. If wishes and butts were candy and nuts and all of that, you're really just throwing it up against the wall. You have no idea.
He had no idea.
He could be the type of player that needs a day of preparation. Now he goes.
He could be, but he's had a day of preparation in the past and looked like dog doo-doo.
So okay. So because he's played poorly in the past when he knew he was going to start, we can only hope that this variable changes the
I'm saying it's the only thing they haven't tried with him so far.
We are about 10 minutes ahead of kickoff. It is 201-430-2378. If you have a prediction or expectations, again, my expectations, a pretty dominant win, possession, and a clean sheet. Those are the three things I think they can definitely accomplish.
Do you expect to see a nastier U.S. men's national team tonight?
So we're going to address this. I mean, we avoided it.
We kind of talked about it at the end of the last show, but I think Klinsmann backpedaled on this one. I think he meant what he said in that press conference, and it was met with such criticism that I think he's had to backpedal on this.
No, really? The U.S. soccer media has backed Jurgen Klinsmann down from his original statements? No, I don't think so.
I think so. Because I don't think that's what Americans respect in sport. We don't Americans always been able to be the team that doesn't die. The team doesn't roll on the ground. The team doesn't gameplay like that in soccer. I think Americans take pride in that.
It's all high-minded nonsense.
I like that.
You want them to be what Klinsmann.
No. I like that the U.S. Isn't that type of team.
But that's bull. Are they the most divingest team in the world? No, certainly not. Are they the 50th most divingest team in the world? Maybe. They will take a dive. There are guys on this team that will take a dive. I almost laughed out loud. I'm a big Landon Donovan fan, and I will back him as a national teamer until I can't talk anymore. But I almost laughed out loud when I read his comments about diving, and he said something about we don't dive. Landon Donovan dives. He dives. There are other guys on this team that will take a dive. There are guys.
He pulls the landing gear up once in a
there
while.
are guys that will throw an elbow. There are guys that will go in with a hard tackle to send a message. We just saw Jermaine Jones do it, and there are other guys.
And what was your reaction to Jermaine Jones when he did that?
50-50. But I think
you did not say that. I was on the air with you off the air, and you and I both said that was unnecessary.
You meant my reaction. Yeah, my initial reaction was that was a little uncalled for. But if that's the way that all I'm saying is that we're not this idea that the United States men's national team is somehow a more honorable team, that they won't ever take a dive, that they won't ever play dirty is nonsense. So we've got to put it to bed.
I don't nonsense that we do or don't do it, but I like the perception that we don't consistently do it.
Why?
I don't know, because it bothers me so much when we go down to places like Costa Rica, Panama, wherever we go down in CONCACAF qualifying. We're going to see it in the next couple months right here, and guys sit on the field for 2 minutes at a time every time someone breathes on them. I hate that about the game, and I like that we don't do it.
That is ridiculous, and there's obviously a line between a bit of gamesmanship and flat out nonsense and flat out malarkey, or whatever you want to call it. Guys rolling around like they're on fire because they got nicked on the heel and wasting 5 minutes because they're up a goal. That's not.
I think that's what Jurgen Klinsmann is talking about, is that we have to play the game. We have to play the game that the world plays to win it sometimes.
Okay, you think because he said in a post-game press conference after they got beaten 4-1 by Brazil with what he thought was a questionable penalty, which really wasn't, and losing a guy on a set piece, and that game, because he said it in that game, with Marcelo doing all of his nonsense.
He also said, because in addition to the nastier comment, he also said that the U.S. needs to crowd around referees like the rest of the teams do. He said that the USA needs to crowd around a referee when they don't like a call they get. I hate that BS, dude.
No, okay.
He's saying that he wants the U.S. to play the game that the rest of the world plays, and that's the game, the mental game that the rest of the world plays, that we don't do in this country, and I like it that way.
Okay, whatever you think about whether or not they need to be nastier, which I think is, it's a subjective thing on what kind of nasty, going and crowding around the referee, it would probably bother me on occasion. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I mean, I just don't understand what this hand wringing over the whole thing. Why people are taking these grand stands about, this is un-American, what Klinsmann is saying, that this is just not how the United States does this, plays this game. Fine, but then we're never going to reach a certain level, because guess what? It's accepted practice. I don't want them to become divers and cheats. I don't want them to become the dirtiest team on the planet and hack everybody down. But I want them to.
If it meant a World Cup trophy, would you do it?
It depends.
See, that's the trade-off.
But my point is that they're already doing certain things, and if Klinsmann wants them to not be naive about the way things are going to happen on the field, I'm okay with that. As a coach, I'm okay with him telling his team, "All right, look, this is what's going to happen. If we let ourselves be bossed around, knocked around, if we're going to play this, if we're going to play this game, we've got to really play." I said this is the same kind of thing when the United States put their hat in the ring for the World Cup. I said, if you're not going to play the political bullshit, sorry, excuse my language, political nonsense, then don't even do it. Don't do it. All right, we've got anthems happening.
On that note,
we're going to roll out here, yeah, after I curse on the air. Coming back at halftime, don't forget, NASN.TV/live. Jason and Jared. All right, anything else before we go, Jared? Anything else
I think that's it. I would look forward to everyone joining us on the halftime and postgame.
All right, guys. So that's it. NASN.TV/live. Halftime show and then postgame show. Come back and join us. Best soccer show, North American Soccer Network, NASN.TV.